Hey, welcome to Kingdom Chats. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Kyra.
And together we have the great joy of being the young families pastors here at Winepress Church, leading the amazing community, which is Kingdom Families, and hosting this podcast, where together we are exploring practical ways to live out His kingdom in our everyday lives.
That's it. And each episode is designed as a conversation starter.
Yeah.
So we're going to unpack the word together, hopefully to spark conversations in your world, because that's where the real value is, when you can actually explore it with your spouse, your kids, and your community group.
That's exactly right. So every week, along with the episode, we release discussion questions specifically designed to discuss with your spouse, your kids, and your community group. You can find them every week at winepress.org.au/Kingdom Chats. That's winepress.org.au/Kingdom Chats. So bookmark it, put it on your home screen, print it on your wall, do whatever you got to do. Go there every week to explore those questions together, and together let's see His kingdom come on earth as in heaven. Let's dive in. No sneezes.
Hello, Caleb.
Hey, Kyra. Welcome back to another Kingdom Chat. We are back.
We are back.
What
the car key couple, ready to talk through, being kingdom people and living out a kingdom purpose.
Yep, and obviously the first step in that is to
Wear matching clothes.
Yeah. Which was not intentional. We came into the room, we're like,
oh,
look at that. Kyra's eyes lit up.
Yeah.
There is no greater joy, apparently, than matching with your spouse. Well, welcome back to another Kingdom Chat. We are going to today start a brand new series in Kingdom Chats. And this is going to take us right through the rest of the year.
Well,
that's a big call.
It's a big call.
But we're calling it now.
Excellent.
Probably.
Let's do it.
What we're going to do for the second 6 months of the year is we're going to have a look at the core values that we have at Winepress. Earlier this year, Pastor Arthur and the leadership team launched our 6 new core values, which define how we do life at the Winepress. And so we have 6 months left. So we thought, why don't we spend 1 month of each of those 6 looking at each of our 6 core values?
It's like it's meant to be.
It is. It's amazing, isn't it?
So good. So good.
That's why we couldn't do this in April.
Yeah, that's right.
I had to wait till there's 6 months left. No, but what we want to do specifically in these Kingdom Chats is go through some practical ways how we can live these values out. The Kingdom Chats, these are bite-sized conversation starters about very practically living out the kingdom. This is not deep theological dives and Bible studies. We've said everything will be rooted in the word. So we will always come to scripture. That's always what we base this off. Yeah. But the point of these is for how we as community, as families, as community groups, as the community at Winepress, practically exploring how we can live these out. Yeah. So we're going to go through each of our 6 values for a month each. And as we look at each of them, we just want to look at a few practical things that can get us thinking about how do we actually live these out in our daily lives. Yeah. So to take them beyond nice words on the screen or nice things that we can quote when Rowan does a quiz on a Sunday, or nice things that we say, oh, this is what our church does, this is what we do at church. But no, this is actually how we live in the day-to-day and some practical ways we can do that. Yeah. So we want it to be really practical, doable, based in the Bible. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So quick pop quiz. What is our first core value? If you're watching this, pause it now and you got to guess.
Got to guess who's right.
All right. Would you like to guess, Kyra?
I would like to guess.
Okay.
I think I know what it is.
Yeah, that one just on the screen there.
Number 1, Jesus at the center.
Ah, man, you're like the model student.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't cheat.
What's the second line? The tagline.
Before all else, we love God, and something about how we love. Yeah, well, I'm trying to do it off. By heart. Okay, before all else, we love and worship God, honouring Him in how we live, love, and lead.
Awesome. That's so good. Jesus at the centre. Before all else, we love, we worship God, honouring Him in how we live, love, and lead. So we're going to explore how we do that, just for a couple of Kingdom Chats for this month. So it says there, before all else, we love God. Today, I want us to talk about what does that look like. It's really nice to say before else, we love God. Yeah. I think in our society, we have lost the concept of what it means to love. Yeah. The fact that you can fall in and out of love. Yeah. makes me think that feels like a different concept to what God is talking about.
I think that's very true.
Yeah.
The fact that we can talk about it as if it's just a feeling.
Yes, exactly.
Something you feel that you sometimes you feel it, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, I felt it, so I married you, and then I stopped feeling it, so I didn't marry you because I felt it for someone else. And so that's love. Love is
That's how society views it.
I feel like that's not what Jesus was talking about.
I suspect not. And in fact, if we look at a verse in Matthew where Jesus was talking about the greatest commandment, and he said, the Pharisees were talking to him, teacher, what's the greatest commandment? He said to them...
So they're asking him what's the greatest commandment, the thing you're commanded to do.
Yeah.
All right.
And he said, you shall love the Lord your God.
Oh, love is a feeling. You can't command someone to love.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? This is the point. It's not just a feeling.
Okay.
So the command is love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind.
Okay.
And in Mark, it actually adds in strength.
Yeah,
with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. That's your first and greatest commandment.
Yeah, that's good. And that's probably why it's our first value.
Yes. It's the most important.
Yeah.
It's the greatest commandment.
Okay.
And so it was interesting. I was actually looking at this last night. And
before you knew that we were going to talk about this today.
Before I knew we were going to talk about this today.
It's pretty cool.
And I was looking up a commentary on, what it means to love God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength. We can give thought to that. But what I read was... loving God with all your heart means fixing all your affection on him. Love him more than anything else in your world, which is a huge, huge call, It is. Forget all else. God is the number one. Love him more than you love anything else.
Yeah.
Your soul. So be willing to give your life for him. So the soul was something that they talked about, was where the breath of life was. And so to love him with all your soul is to love him with your very breath.
The essence of your life.
The essence of your life. So when you stop breathing, that's the end.
Yep.
And so he's saying you're willing to die for God who you
took
love.
A heavy turn, didn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Well, and then this is
but that's
more than a feeling.
It's more than just a nice feeling of affection and goosebumps.
That's right. Your mind, to be wholly submitted to him and his ways. So there's a sense of obedience in that you're loving him with everything you think, with everything you imagine, with everything that you do. You're building your ways, your whole way of life around what he says. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's so good.
And finally...
And so, sorry, just cutting in quickly, that's a big picture, isn't it? Saying I'm going to build my whole way of living, my value system, my choices, what I do, how I live, how I spend my time. I'm going to build all that around you. Yes. What will give you glory.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah.
The final one that Mark references is strength. So everything that you do is about bringing glory to the one you love. God.
Amazing.
So that follows on from what you're saying. Everything about your life, every action, every piece of work, it's all for his glory because of how much you're choosing to love. Love him and put him in his rightful places first.
That's so good.
It's pretty. Those are 4 pretty big concepts, and talking about how we love. Even just looking at that and saying, how much of that actually represents how I love God.
And how I live, because exactly, it's great for us to say, before else, I love God.
Yeah.
I have lovely feelings towards him. I worship him. I sing songs at church.
Yeah.
But do those things define my life? As in those things that you just talked about. If people look at my life, would they say, wow, your whole life is just
loving God,
poured out towards God? That's really cool. Let's quickly look at a couple other scriptures, and then we'll just chat for a minute about how we practically live that out a bit. John 14:15, Jesus talking to the disciples, and he says to them, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. Now that ties in a bit with what you were saying there.
Yeah.
But love and obedience are intertwined.
Yes.
If you love God, you obey him. You can't love God without obeying him.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you never make a mistake or never mess up. No. But to love God is to actually
do what he says.
Yeah. It's to choose, I'm going to align my life, my values, my choices, my decisions, my actions, I'm going to align them with what you say. Yeah. I'm going to obey what you say.
It's not a pick and choose. I think in our society, it's very easy to say, I'm going to take that and I'm going to take some of this and do some of that, but that's not how God works.
No.
It's when you love him and you obey him, you obey everything that he says, not
Yep.
just pick and choose the things that work for you.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like how he said to which church in Revelation, where he said, you've left your first love, you know, and he says, I hate that you're hot or cold, but I hate you being lukewarm.
Yes,
it's like just
lukewarm.
picking and choosing a bit, and no, he wants first love.
Yeah.
He wants that all in,
Yeah.
wholly all in, because that's what love is.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Luke 4:8. Jesus said, now this is actually when Jesus is being tempted by the devil, and he's quoting scripture in response, and it says, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. So to love God, to worship him, talks about to serve him.
Yeah.
Again, it's not just a feeling. It's not just saying, I love him. It's not just raising my hands on a Sunday. It's actually, I'm serving him. And I like in there, it says, him only
Yes.
shall you serve. That's one of the keys with loving God. You cannot love God and serve him and the ways of the world. In Matthew 6, actually, I won't turn to it for right now, but Jesus is teaching them about the kingdom and about mammon. And he said, mammon, which is it's sort of the earth curse desire for money and desire to build your own things. And he says, you can't serve God and mammon. You can't pursue both. You can't love both, essentially. So to love God is to serve him with your life. And that, by definition, means that you're choosing not to serve any of the other things as well.
That's right.
It's him only.
I can't help but think too, this is really relevant to me, but you can't serve both God and man. So the same way you can't serve God and mammon, you can't serve God and man. So your ultimate, love and obedience has to be to God, not to what people will think of you or what they'll say about you.
Now, you're not saying in that, if your boss tells you to do something, you say, I don't serve you.
No,
So,
no.
okay.
Or if your pastor says something to you that you ignore him.
And that's actually, that concept, we won't go deep into this because it's not the point of today, but it's actually the authority chain.
Yes.
Paul's teachings say you work unto your boss as unto God. It's actually an authority chain. Sorry.
Yeah, an authority chain.
When you're leading someone, you're actually representing God in that situation. Doesn't mean you become God, not being weird, but you serve them as your service unto God.
Yeah, that's why God holds them to a higher account.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, it talks about Bible teachers or leaders are held to a higher account because people are serving as unto God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's really good. So there's a lot of fairly heavy stuff there.
Yeah, a lot to process.
What do we do with that? I feel like everyone's going to go and say, "Whoa, okay, I need to be a martyr." And what does this look like? What does this look like in our daily lives here and now? Because it's not, it is heavy and it is real, but it's also like it's grace filled and it's okay. Like, how do we live this out here and now?
I think it's exactly like you've said. In terms of this has to be a whole way of life. It's not just a moment. It's not just coming to church on a Sunday and singing some praise songs and that's your love for God. It's a whole life. So as you look at your life, how much of that represents your love for God and your obedience to the things that he's spoken to you, the things that he teaches in his word? There's heaps in his word about how to live in obedience to him. Straight away in that same great commandment is love God and love others. Like how much of your life actually honors that commandment, not just living for self, not just living for, the way of the world or, getting the great Aussie dream and things like that, but actually, how much of our life is centered around God, around being planted where he's called us, about reaching community, about, the great commandment, the great commission, how much of our life echoes the things of God.
Yeah, and it all comes back to that word centered. It's saying centered around Jesus. That's why it says Jesus at the center. And actually in the next one, we might talk about that a bit more practically, how we actually center our whole lives around Jesus. But I would encourage you just to reflect on that. Think about, if someone looked at my life, would they say everything you do, every choice you make, every value you hold, the way you do family, work, community, it is centered around Jesus, what he says, and loving him.
And we're not here to condemn you. This is not about, you guys are,
I don't know, you sounded pretty condemning.
This is, we're all reflecting, there's all things that we could be, for all of us, there's things that we could do better to love God and honor him. So this is not a
it's relational. It's not law, it's not religion, it's relational. On that, can I finish with one last one? So we've talked about loving God being about all heart, soul, mind, strength, about obeying him, about serving him. as loving God, we are also supposed to delight in him. Delight in him, let him delight in us, and to enjoy that journey.
Yeah. There is joy in his presence.
There is. We talk about love is not a feeling, but there is a feeling in love.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Love is not devoid of feelings. You know, our marriage, our love is not a feeling. We have made real commitments to each other, and we, even when we don't feel it, have to live by those and keep them together. But thank God he's made our marriage that we actually feel things. It's not just a bunch of rules and a bunch of laws. God is the amazing, beautiful creator. He has made, things like marriage to actually reflect our relationship to Jesus and to him. He has made love as a beautiful thing that we were made to do. And when we do it, it opens up and blossoms this amazing depth of emotion and experience that we couldn't experience any other way. There are so many scriptures we could talk about for that. One that immediately comes to mind for me is Psalm 42 verse 1. As deer pants for the flowing streams, so pants my soul for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before him? The psalmist is saying, I just have this longing and this deep desire for you, God. So in all this, love is not just a feeling. No. But love should be full of feeling. Yeah. Love.
That's good. I like that's very.
That was quite good, wasn't it?
Very wise.
Yeah. Oh. Gee, thank you, Kyra. I've trained you so well.
Give you good feelings.
But it was quite good, wasn't it? Like, love is not a feeling, but it should be full of feelings. You should find the most deep joy and delight in loving God. And when you actually come to him and lay down your whole life that way and love him, the desire and the delight, that's the word that I keep coming back to in this, it should just bloom in amazing ways. So be encouraged in that and let it blossom and bloom and grow.
Be blessed.
Good stuff.